students of class 11 and 12 participating in the inter-house English elocution are here to share their passion for elocution with all of us. I would like to welcome and thank the judges for this afternoon's competition. They are Miss P. Melhotra, Miss E. Davids and Miss L. Barrett. They have always been a constant and untiring source of support and encouragement to all the senior school programs and competitions. Thank you judges for your unstinting support. Now I would like to request Samriddhi Singh to come up on stage and present her piece.
In this scene from the movie Barbie, Barbie Margot confronts her feelings of inadequacy and despair after being pulled into the complexities of the human world by Gloria. Gloria attempts to reassure her but becomes overwhelmed. Her passionate outburst highlights the struggles of both Barbie and women in general, revealing the deep emotional toll of these unrealistic standards. Why did you wish me to your messed up human world using your complicated human thoughts and feelings? Barbie Land was perfect before, and I was perfect before. I'm so sorry, Barbie. I wasn't trying to do anything. What's wrong? I'm not pretty anymore. What? You are so pretty. Not stereotypical Barbie pretty. You are beautiful. It's not just that. I'm not smart enough to be interesting. I've never wished for anything. I've never wanted anything to change. Well, honey, that's life. It's all change. This is the lowest I've ever been, emotionally and physically. Cut to a commercial on TV where depression Barbies are being sold. It's all bright and happy, except for the dolls are really going through it. They all look wrecked and sad. Hey kids, it's time to bring out the new depression Barbie. More, 78. She wears sweatpants all day and night. She spends 7 hours on Instagram going through her estranged best friend's engagement photos while eating a family-sized bag of Starbursts. And now her jaw is killing her. She's going to watch the BBC's Pride and Prejudice for the 7th time until she falls asleep. Anxiety, OCD, and panic attacks sold separately. You are so smart. I can't do brain surgery. I've never flown a plane. I'm not president. No one on the Supreme Court is me. I'm just not good enough for anything. It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you think you are not good enough. Like we always have to be extraordinary, and somehow we're always doing it wrong. You're supposed to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy. But you also have to be thin. You can't be a boss. You have to be smart. You can't be mean to people. You have to have money. But don't ask for money because that's crass. You have to lead, but don't squash other people's ideas. You have to love being a mother, but don't talk about your kids all the time. You have to be a leader, but don't ever be mean. You have to answer for men's bad behavior, which is insane. But if you point that out, then you're accused of complaining. You have to be a career woman, but also be looking out for others. You have to be pretty for men, but not too pretty so that you tempt them too much or you threaten other women. You're supposed to be a part of the sisterhood, but also stand out, but also always Be grateful. You can never get old, never be rude, never show off, never be selfish, never fall down, never fail, never show fear, never get out of line. It's too hard and it's too contradictory, and no one gives you a medal or says thank you. And somehow, as it turns out, not only are you doing it all wrong, but everything is your fault. I'm just so tired of watching myself and every single woman out there tying ourselves in knots so that people will like us. And if all that is also true for a doll just representing a woman, then I don't even know. I really don't know. Thank you.
This extract has been written by Subroto Bakshi, the CEO of Mindtree. Go kiss the world. I was the last child of a small-time government servant in a family of 5 brothers. My earliest memory of my father is as that of a district employment officer in Koraput, Odisha. There was no electricity, no primary school nearby, and water did not flow out of a tap. As a result, I was homeschooled till 8. My parents set the foundation of my life and the value system which makes me what I am today and largely defines what success means to me today. As district employment officer, my father was given a jeep by the government. He told us that the jeep is an expensive resource given by them. He reiterated to us that it was not his jeep, but the government's jeep. He also made sure we never sat in it. That was our early childhood lesson in governance. A lesson that corporate managers learn the hard way. Some never do. Our day used to start with the family huddling around my mother's chula, an earthen fireplace. As the tea was served, father would ask us to read aloud the editorial page of the statement. The ritual was meant for us to know that the world was larger than Koraput district, and the English I speak today has to do with that routine. We were told to fold it neatly. Father used to say, you should leave your newspaper and your toilet the way you expect to find it. Government houses seldom came with fences. Mother and I collected twigs and built a small fence. She would take her kitchen utensils, and with those, she and I would dig the rocky, white and infested surroundings. We planted flowering bushes, the wild ants destroyed them. My mother brought ash from a chula and mixed it in the earth. This time, they bloomed. At that time, my father's transfer order came. A few neighbors told my mother why she was planting seeds that would only benefit the next occupant. My mother replied that it did not matter to her that she would not see the flowers in full bloom. She said, I have to create a bloom in a desert, and whenever I'm given a new place, I must leave it more beautiful than what I had inherited. To me, success is not about what you create for yourself. It is about what you leave behind. 2 years back, my mother had her eyesight dimmed. But in me, she created a larger vision. A vision with which I continue to see the world. I spent 2 weeks, Over the next few years, my mother's eyesight dimmed. But in me, she created a larger vision. A vision with which I continue to see the world. She developed a corneal ulcer and overnight became blind in both eyes. That was 1969. She died in 2002. In all those years of living with blindness, she never complained about her fate, even once. Curious to know what she saw with blind eyes, I asked her once if she sees darkness. She replied, "No, I do not see darkness. I only see light, even with my eyes closed." Well, 2 years back, at the age of 82, mother had a paralytic stroke. I spent 2 weeks with her in the hospital. She was neither getting better nor moving on. Eventually, I had to return to work. While leaving her behind, I kissed her face. In that paralytic state and a garbled voice, my mother said, "Why are you kissing me? Go, kiss the world." Her river was nearing its journey. At the confluence of life and death, this woman who came to India as a refugee, raised by a widowed mother, no more educated than high school, married to an anonymous government servant whose last salary was rupees 300, blinded by fate and crowned by adversity, was telling me to go and kiss the world. Success to me is about vision. It is the ability to rise above the immediacy of pain. It is about sensitivity to small people. It is about connectedness to a larger world existence. It is about personal tenacity. It is about giving back more to life than you take out of it. It is about creating extraordinary success with ordinary lives. Thank you very much. I wish you good luck and Godspeed. Go kiss the world.
An extract from Piece of Cake by Roald Dahl. I was working for the Royal Air Force when World War II was in progress. My plane had been hit by a German fighter pilot. The wings of my plane went flip, 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 faster and faster until there was neither sky nor sea around me, but only the sun. I then found myself sitting in a great red chair made of velvet. "Where am I?" I asked. You're missing, believed, killed." "Then I must tell my mother." You can't use that for me." "Why not?" "It goes only to God." "What did you say I was?" "You're missing, believed, killed." "That's not true. It's a lie. You're just trying to frighten me, and you won't succeed. I'm going back to my squadron, and you can't stop me." "Calm down," said a woman's voice. "You are getting delirious again." "Am I missing?" "No, of course not. You're fine." "They said I was missing." "Oh, don't be silly. You are probably hallucinating. It is normal for soldiers and pilots who have experienced the horrors of war." "You're going through post-traumatic stress," said the nurse. "So, I was probably in a hospital." "You're actually better this morning." "You're much better," said the woman again. "Where am I?" I asked. And for some reason best known to herself, the woman evaded my question and looking at me with a mysterious, enigmatic air, he said, "You will know soon enough." "Why won't you tell me where I am?" "We have our reasons." "How long have I been here?" "About 4 days." "What time is it?" "You might say it's about 7 o'clock in the morning." "Why did you say might? Don't you know for sure?" "Well, conceptions of time and space can change, can't they?" "I don't think I quite comprehend what you're saying." "Don't worry, you will." "Have I lost a leg?" "No, that's nothing. We shall get you another one." "But I don't want a prosthetic. I want my own leg back. I want to get my leg back. Do you hear me?" I wept like a child, throwing a tantrum because his favorite toy had been snatched from him. "Don't fret so much. You won't need a prosthetic. Now try and get some sleep." I was trying to feel my face with my fingers, but there seemed to be nothing there to feel. "Why can't I feel my face? What's wrong with my face?" "Just lie still and don't worry." "Will you stop telling me not to worry and just answer my questions? I want my life back, do you hear me? Call the doctor and tell him to fix my face, do you hear me?" "Yes. And another thing, why can't I see?" "Oh, we've just put a bandage around your eyes for a bit. Just for a while. Don't worry. You're fine. You're a very lucky man, you know." "Yes, I've been maimed for life. I probably will never be able to see again. All my dreams, my hopes, my ambitions are shattered. Yes, I would say I'm a lucky man." Just then, I felt a gentle, familiar touch on my shoulder. "Don't worry, dear. None of this will matter to you anymore. All your pains will disappear. All your wounds will heal," said a different but a familiar voice. A voice that I loved so much. She removed the bandage from around my eyes, and I found myself gazing into the calm, reassuring eyes of my mother. Everything made sense now. There truly was no need to fret or worry now, for I had reached my final destination. You see, my mother had passed away 5 years ago. Thank you.
My Financial Career by Stephen Leacock. When I go into a bank, I get rattled. The clerks rattle me, the wickets rattle me, the sight of the money rattles me, everything rattles me. The moment I cross the threshold of a bank and attempt to transact business there, I become an irresponsible idiot. I knew this beforehand, but my salary had been raised to $50 a month, and I felt that the bank was the only place for it. So I shambled in and looked timidly round at the clerks. I had an idea that a person about to open an account must needs consult the manager. I went up to a wicket marked Accountant. The accountant was a tall, cool devil
The very sight of him rattled me. "Can I see the manager?" I asked, and added solemnly, "Alone?" I don't know why I said alone. "Certainly," he said, and fetched him. The manager was a grave, calm man. I held my $56 clutched in a crumpled ball in my pocket. "Are you the manager?" I said. God knows I didn't doubt it. "Yes," he said. "Can I see you alone?" I didn't want to say alone again, but without it, the thing seemed self-evident. The manager looked at me in some alarm. He felt that I had an awful secret to reveal. "Come in here," he said, and led the way to a private room. He turned the key in the lock. "We are safe from interruption here," he said. "Sit down. You must be one of Pinkerton's men, I presume." He had gathered from my mysterious manner that I was a detective. I knew what he was thinking, and it made me worse. "No, not from Pinkerton's," I said. "To tell the truth, I am not a detective at all. I have come to open an account. I wish to keep all my money in this bank." "A large account, I suppose," he said. "Very large," I whispered. "I intend to deposit $56 now and $50 a month regularly." The manager got up and opened the door. He called to the accountant. "Mr. Montgomery," he said, unkindly loud, "this gentleman is opening an account. He will deposit $56. Good morning." I rose. I went up to the accountant's wicket and poked the ball of money at him. "Here," I said, "deposit it." He took the money and gave it to another clerk. He made me sign my name on a book and write the sum on a slip. I no longer knew what was going on. The bank swam before my eyes. "Is it deposited now?" I asked. "It is," said the accountant. "Then I want to draw a check." My idea was to draw $6 out of it for present use. Someone gave me a checkbook through a wicket, and someone else began telling me how to write it out. I wrote something on the check and thrust it at the clerk. He looked at it. "What? Are you drawing it all out again?" Then I realized I had written 56 instead of 6. I had gone too far to reason now. Reckless with misery, I made a plunge. Yes, the whole thing. "You withdraw your money from the bank?" "Every cent of it." "Are you not going to deposit anymore?" said the clerk, astonished. "Never." An idiot hope struck me that they might think that something had insulted me while I was writing the check, and that I had changed my mind. I made a wretched attempt to look like a man with a fearfully quick temper. The clerk prepared to hand me the money. "How will you have it?" he said. "What? How will you have it?" "Oh, in 50s. And the 6? In 6s. He gave them to me and I rushed out. As the big door swung behind me, I caught the echo of a roar of laughter that went up to the ceiling of the bank. Since then, I bank no more. I keep my money in cash in my trousers pocket and my savings in silver dollars in a sock. Thank you.
A model dialogue
in which is shown
how the German drawing room juggler may be permanently cured of his cut. The German drawing room juggler, having slyly got the hold of the pack of cards at the end of the game of whist, says, "Ever see any card trick? Here's rather a good one. Pick a card."
Thank you. I don't want a card.
"No, but just pick one. Anyone you like. And I'll tell which one it is."
You will tell who?
I'll know which one it is. Now do you understand? Now go. Pick a card.
Anyone I want.
Yes.
Any color.
Yes.
Of any suit.
Yes. Now do go ahead and pick a card.
All right. I'll pick the ace of spades.
Great, Caesar! You had to pull a card out of the pack. Now do you understand? Go ahead, pick a card.
All right.
Shuffle, 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 shuffle. He took it back and then again shuffle, 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 shuffled. Is this your card?
Lost sight of it.
You lost sight of it? Holy Moses! Again, remember next time.
Do I have to look at the front of it?
Yes! Oh my God! You have to remember it, so you will look at the front of it.
All right.
He again took the card pack. Shuffle, 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 shuffle.
All right. This time I have the king of hearts.
Oh, you don't have to tell me which card it is.
All right. I won't tell you which card it is the next time. Give me another card.
And then he took another card and the juggler again shuffle, 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 shuffle. And then he saw something really interesting. Did you put your card back in the pack?
No, I have it.
Holy Christ! How many times are you going to spoil it? Now, listen, once and for all. When I tell you to pick a card, pick it, pull it out, and then make sure that you remember it. After that, just make sure you know when I ask you, is this your card? Whether it is your card or not. Is that finally understood?
Yes, most certainly. But I must say, you are awfully clever.
Awfully clever? I must tell you that I have tried this trick so many times, and now you shall see why.
All right.
Pull a card out.
All right.
Give it back.
Here it is.
And finally, he shuffled, 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 and shuffled. And then flipped. Very enthusiastically. Is this your card?
And the man said, "No, it is not my card."
Holy Christ! This trick has worked every single time. I have tried it on my mother, my brother, my sister, my father, and anyone and everyone that came past our house. It must work. Are you sure this is not your card?
Well, I am most certain that this is not my card.
This is not possible. Let me try again.
All right, here we go again.
And he picked a card. And the juggler again shuffled, 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 and shuffled. Well, is this your card?
No, that yet again is not my card. Well, you know what you should do? Just sit back and relax. Sip some coffee and make sure that you know how to do it. Also, just go in the backyard and relax. What? You want to go home now? All right, your wish, but I must say, You were awfully clever. But before that, I was supposed to keep my card in the back, right? You what? Thank you.
How to Live to Be 200 by Stephen Leacock. 20 years ago, I knew a man called Jiggins who had the health habit. He used to take a cold plunge every morning. He said it opened his pores. After it, he took a hot sponge. He said it closed the pores. He got so that he could open and shut his pores at will. Jiggins used to stand and breathe at an open window for half an hour before dressing. He said it expanded his lungs. After he had got his undershirt on, Jiggins used to hitch himself up like a dog in harness and do stand-do exercises. He did them forwards and backwards. He could have got a job as a dog anywhere. He spent all his time at this kind of thing. In his spare time at the office, he used to lie on the floor on his stomach and see if he could lift himself up with his knuckles. Then he would spend the rest of his lunch hour on his stomach, perfectly happy. In the evenings in his room, he used to lift iron bars, cannonballs and heave dumbbells, and haul himself up to the ceiling with his teeth. He liked it. Now Jiggins is dead. He was, of course, a pioneer, but the fact that he dumbbelled himself to death at an early age does not prevent a whole generation of young men from following in his path. They are ridden by the health mania and make themselves a nuisance. They get up at impossible hours. They hunt for ozone. They won't eat meat because it has too much nitrogen. They won't eat fruits because it hasn't any. They won't drink water out of a tap. They won't eat sardines out of a can. They won't drink milk out of a glass. They are afraid of alcohol in any shape. Yes, sir, afraid. Cowards. Now, people of the sort have no chance to attain any great age. They're on the wrong track. Listen, do you want to live to be really old and enjoy a grand, green, exuberant, boastful old age? Then cut out all this nonsense. Cut it out. Get up in the morning at a sensible hour. The time to get up is when you have to, not before. If your office opens at 11, get up at 10:30. If your work is at 7, get up 10 minutes before. Also, drop all that cold bath business. You never did it when you were a boy. Don't be a fool now. If you must take a shower, you don't really need to. Take it warm. In any case, stop gassing about your tub and your shower as if you were the only man who ever washed. Next, if you see a bassline, don't worry. It is perfectly quiet and harmless if you're not afraid of it. Speak to it. It will understand. It is only a fad of modern medicine. Now take the question of food. Eat what you want. Eat lots of it. Eat till you can just stagger across the room with it and prop it up against a sofa cushion. Eat everything that you like till you can't eat anymore. The only test is, can you pay for it? If you can't pay for it, then don't eat it. In any decent household, all that sort of stuff is washed out before the food is put on the table. And just one word about fresh air and exercise. Don't bother with either of them. Get your room full of good air.
Shut up the windows and keep it. It will keep for years. As for exercise, if you have to take it and put up with it. But as long as you have a price of a hat and can hire other people to play baseball for you and run races and do gymnastics while you sit in the shade and watch them, great heavens, what more do you want?
What do you see, nurse? What do you see? What are you thinking when you look at me? A crowded old woman, not very wise, uncertain of habit, with far away eyes, who dribbles her food and makes no reply when you say in a loud voice, I do wish you try, who seems not to notice the things that you do, and forever is losing a stocking or shoe, who, unresisting or not, lets you do as you will, with bathing and feeding, the long days fill. Is that what you're thinking? Is that what you see? Then open your eyes, nurse. You're looking at me. I'll tell you who I am. As I sit here, so still, as I rise at your bidding, as I eat at your will. I'm a small child of 10, with a father and a mother, brothers and sisters who loved one another, who skipped and who danced with a song in her heart, who knew not that from youth each one of us must part. I'm a young girl of 18 with wings on her feet, dreaming that soon now a lover she'll meet, a bride soon at 20. My heart gives a leap, recalling the vows that I promised to keep. At 25 now, I have young of my own who need me to build a secure, happy home. A woman of 30, my young now, grow fast, bound to each other with ties that should last. At 40, my young sons have grown and are gone, but my man is beside me to see I don't mourn. At 50, once more, babies play around my knee. Again, we know children, my loved one, and me. Dark days are upon me. My husband is dead. I look at the future. I shudder with dread, for my young are all rearing young ones of their own, and I think of the years and the love that I've known. I'm an old woman now, and nature is cruel. 'Tis her jest to make old age look like a fool. The body is crumpled, grace and wig
But inside this old carcass, a young girl still dwells, and now and again my battered heart swells. I remember the joy, I remember the pain, and I'm living and loving life all over again. I think of the years all too feel gone too fast, and accept the stark fact that nothing can last. So open your eyes, nurse! Open and see! Not a crabby old woman! Look closer! See me!
Rejection letter by Mimi Evans. Dear applicant, the admission committee has carefully considered your application and we regret to inform you that we will not be able to offer you admission in the entering class or position on one of our alternate lists. The applicant pool this year was particularly strong. By that, I mean the admissions committee once again sent applicants like you multiple enticing pamphlets encouraging you to apply, knowing well we had no intentions of accepting you. However, you will be pleased to know that you have contributed to a declining admissions rate. This allows us to make a university look exclusive. This helps us attract a real candidates, upper-class kids, and certified geniuses who will glean no new information from our courses or faculty whose parents can incentivize us with a new swimming pool or a stadium. As a reminder, we don't aspire to be a socially exclusive learning environment. In fact, we have chosen to pursue a more diverse campus and welcome all minorities. But our admission program is quite unique. We combat past discrimination by discriminating in the present. It is one of the many techniques that are award-winning and look that faculty help to develop. While we consider applicants from all backgrounds who excel both in and out of the classroom, we really want students of ours who relentlessly pursue a single instrument, sport, or other activity unless you've written a New York Times bestseller, won first prize in the Intel Science Fair, or cured type 1 diabetes using only Solapa will put you at the bottom of the pool. You may be wondering how a near perfect SAT and ACT and a dozen perfect AP scores and your presidency of 4 clubs did not distinguish you from the pack. Please know that we take many other factors into account as well, including socio-politically, monetary context, Asianness of name, BMI, and modified Rorschach. You should also know that our committee did not fall for your attempts to look humble or well-rounded. Volunteering in developing countries is nice, but truly generous individuals volunteer to improve their local communities, while truly wealthy families buy a third world country for their child to gentrify. The reality is we are no longer looking for students who are remarkable candidates for college. We are looking for people who have already made a difference, so we can grow a list of impressive alumni. Your value to our college depends solely on your ability to attract future applicants. Since you are now Emma Watson or James Franco, we urge you to consider your acceptance letters from state universities and equally expensive world-tier schools and commence nursing an inferiority complex for the rest of your life. We sincerely hope that you find it in your heart to forgive us for not seeing your full potential. Please remember, we will need your tiger parent instincts in approximately 3 decades when you push your own children to the brink of death. And once again, help us boost our US News and World Report ranking. Best Day of Admissions. Thank you.
George by P.G. Woodhouse. Have I ever told you about my nephew George? My nephew George had been cursed with a terrible stammer. It was his association with Miss Blake that first turned George's thoughts into a serious attempt to cure himself of his stammer. Every time he tried to tell her he loved her, he could get no further than a sibilant gurgle. Something obviously had to be done, so George went to London to see a specialist. Yes, said the specialist. I, said George. You were saying? Sing it, said the specialist. I love a lassie, a bonny, bonny lassie. She's as pure as the lily in the dell. No doubt, said the specialist, wincing a little. She's as sweet as the heather, the bonny purple heather. Yes, sir, he carried. That's my baby. No, sir, don't mean maybe. Yes, sir, that's my baby now. And by the way, when I meet the preacher, I shall say, if you knew Susie, like I know Susie. George was beginning, but the others stopped him. There is only one cure. You must make a point of speaking to at least 3 perfect strangers. The more George thought about the advice he had been given, the less he liked it. As he boarded the compartment of the train he was to take back home, George saw a very large, fierce-looking man. George would have preferred somebody a little less, but before he could say anything, the man did. The weather, he said, seems... George sank back as if he had been hit between the eyes. The reply, yes, to such a man would obviously be madness. He simply indicated with sign language that he was dumb and sighed with relief. The train chugged along a little brook ran, and through the trees could be discerned dimly the noble facade of the County Lunatic Asylum. It was at this moment that the distinguished-looking stranger entered the platform, and George decided to try again. He commented on his hat. I'm glad you like it, said the stranger. I ordered it specially. He looked about him. and seemed satisfied. Hey, I want your opinion of human sacrifices. George said he didn't like them. Why not? Asked the stranger, surprised. George said it was hard to explain. He just didn't. We need a knife, by the way. Will you have a knife? No. No knife? Ah, well, then we'll have to look about for something else. No doubt we'll manage somehow. Covering the ground at a high rate of speed, George flung himself out of that train and into another, taking refuge under a seat. There he remained, quaking. A voice spoke. Potter! Yes, ma'am. What was all that disturbance as I came into the station? A patient escaped from the asylum, ma'am. Good gracious! There came along the sound of a body descending upon a cushioned seat, and some little time later, the rustling of a paper. George had never before travelled under the seat of a railway carriage, and though he belonged to the younger generation, which is so avid of new experiences, he had no desire to do so now. It was at this moment that he decided to emerge, with the minimum of ostentation. All was well. He emerged quietly. Said George. Pardon me, but I wonder if you would care for a cup of tea, was what he wanted to say. The woman continued to stare at him, her eyes the size of regulation standard golf balls, and her breathing suggested the last few stages of asthma. He delayed no longer. Tea for two and two for tea, and me for you and you for me. He was shocked to see his companion turning Nile green. He decided to make his meaning a bit more clear. I have a nice thermos, I have a full thermos. Won't you share my thermos too? When skies are grey and you feel you are blue, tea sends the sun smiling through. I have a nice thermos, I have a full thermos. May I pour out some for you? Ah! Screamed the lady as she clobbered him up with her umbrella.
By S.T. Coleridge. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stoppest thou me? The wedding guest sat on a stone, he cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbour cleared, merrily did we drop, below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. And then the storm blast came, and he was stillness and strong. He struck with his o'ertaking wings and chased south along. And now there came both mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold. And ice mast high came floating by, as green as emerald. And through the drifts and snowy cliffs did send a dismal sheen. Nor shapes of men, nor beasts we ken. The ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled like noises in a sound. At length, did cross an albatross. How the fog it came, as if it had been a Christian soul. We hailed it in God's name. I ate the food it narrowed eat, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit. The helmsman steers through. And a good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow, and every day for food or play came to the mariner's hall. God save thee, ancient mariner,
from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why lookest thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. The sun now rose upon the right. Out of the sea came he, still hid in the mist, and on the left went down into the sea. And we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. Water, water everywhere, and all the boats did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. There passed a weary time, each throat was parched, and glazed each eye. A weary time, how glazed each weary eye. When looking westward I beheld a something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and took at last a certain shape I wist. With throats unslaked, with black lips baked, we could not laugh nor wail. Through utter drought all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked the blood and cried, "A sail! A sail! See, see," I cried. She tacks no more, hither to work us wheel. Without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies with upright keel. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glance in the sun, like restless gossameres? Are those her ribs, through which the sun did pierce through a grate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And now that too? Is death that woman's mate? Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was white as leprosy. The nightmare lies in death was she, who takes man's blood with gold. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done. I've won! I've won! Quoth she, and whistled thrice. The stars were dim, and thick the night. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. From the sails the dew did drip, till clomb above the eastern bar the horned moon with one bright star within the nether tip. One after one by the star-dogged moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly bang and cursed me with his eye. 4 times 50 living men, and we heard nor sigh nor groan. With heavy thump, a lifeless lump they dropped down, one by one. The souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bliss or woe, and every soul it passed me by like the whiz of my crossbow. Oh, wedding guest, this soul had been alone on white, white sea. So lonely it was that God himself scarce seemed there to be. Oh, sweeter than the marriage feast, 'tis sweeter far to me to walk together to the kirk with a goodly company. Farewell, farewell, but this I tell to thee, thou wedding guest. He prayeth well, who loveth well, both man and bird and beast. The mariner, whose eyes bright, whose beard with ages hoar, is gone, and now the wedding guest turned from the bridegroom's door.
Conversation by Gerald Durham. Larry had nothing against great aunts. They were all right. All except great aunt Hermione. That is why when Mother read out her letter and said, "Great aunt Hermione says that the doctors don't hold out much hope for her," Larry blurted out, "The doctors haven't held out any hope for her for
and she's still as strong as an ox.
Well, she says she wants to come and stay with us. The doctors have advised a warm climate.
Oh heavens! Oh no! Oh Lord, no! I refuse! I couldn't bear it! You'll have to put her off, Mother! Tell her there's no room!
But I can't, dear. I told her in the last letter what a big villa we had.
Well then, write and tell her that we've got an epidemic of chickenpox, malaria, and conjunctivitis raging out here.
Don't be silly, dear. Besides, I told her how healthy the air is here.
Really, Mother, you are impossible. We are going to be invaded by that evil old camel, smelling of all kinds of alcoholic spirits, who believes that the purpose of her life is to sing hymns in the lavatory. That's sacrilege. Who sings hymns in the lavatory?
Really, dear, you do exaggerate. She does not sing hymns in the lavatory.
She does nothing else but sing hymns.
Lead kindly light amid the encircling gloom.
The only thing that encircles anything when she sings is the throngs of people who gather around the lavatory, desperately in need of it.
Well, if you don't want her here, dear, you'll have to come up with a good excuse. I can't write and tell her that we don't want her coming because she urges the light to lead people to the lavatory.
Why not?
Don't be unreasonable, dear. After all, she is our relative.
What on earth's that got to do with anything? Why should we fall all over a banshee simply because she's a relative, when the sensible thing to do would be to burn her at the stake?
Well, technically, dear, I don't think that would be possible. Banshees are spirits, and spirits cannot be burnt at any kind of stake.
You're missing the point, Mother. Great Aunt Hermione is the devil incarnate, and you know it.
She's not as bad as that.
You're right. She's worse. She's fossilized. She's mummified. She's mental.
Indeed, she is not mental. She's unconventional and odd, but she is definitely not mental.
Of course she is, Mother. She's best. In fact, of all our dysfunctional relatives, she is definitely the worst. Why you keep in touch with her, I cannot, for the life of me, imagine.
Well, I've got to answer her letters, haven't I?
Why? Just write gone away to Cuba across them and send them back.
I couldn't do that. She'd recognize my handwriting.
Well then, couldn't you write to her and say that you're ill and that the doctors have given up hope on you?
Do you feel slightly ashamed of yourself? Huh?
I do, rather. But could you write that to her, Mother? Please?
No, because then she would come straight here to nurse me.
Well, in that case, I shall have to pack my own bags and take off somewhere. I don't want to be dragged to hell before my time.
Don't be ridiculous. Where would you go?
Sierra Leone, Puerto Rico, Mount Kilimanjaro, anywhere.
Well, before you go, dear, would you mind seeing who that is at the front door? I thought I heard a knock.
Larry opened the door and promptly collapsed to the ground. For, standing before him, armed with 2 humongous suitcases and a bottle of rum, all ready to lead him to the light, was his great Aunt Hermione. Thank you.
Doing It Right by Charlie Fish. Husband bought a new toy for Charlie yesterday. It was an old toy, a Mickey Mouse, with a little plastic football. When you put the little football in its outstretched hands, it sings, "Catch the ball, hold it tight, you're good at this, you're doing it right." I must have heard that idiotic jingle 100 times yesterday. Then again, at 1 a.m. this morning, and 2 a.m., and 3 a.m., and 4 a.m., at which point the Mickey got relocated to the top of the wardrobe. Simon cried and cried, but the textbooks say you've got to let them. An hour later, he was still crying. I felt like jumping out the second floor window. We lay next to each other in bed for another hour, hating ourselves for not being asleep, until husband said, "Forget it," and went to work. I tried to sleep, nearly did, except the alarm went off at 7:30, reminding me of Simon's appointment with the doctor. I got up and made coffee. My fingernails looked horrible, my throat hurt, my face looked puffy and bruised. All in all, I was feeling better than that. It took 20 minutes to wake Simon up, and he wasn't happy about it. Not even the Mickey would shut him up. Every sword in the doctor's waiting room stared at me like it was my fault. I smiled apologetically, gave him a snap, tried to get him to suck his fingers, sang him a song. It was all I could do not to snap his neck. "Are you all right?" asked the doctor when he saw us. Like he thought I was cracking under the pressure, mentally broken, and that's why this kid was out of control. He poked at the lump in Simon's mouth and said, "It's an eruption hematoma. It'll resolve itself once the tooth comes through." At which point, Simon sneezed and simultaneously stained his napkins. Appointment over. The weather was okay, so I figured I'd take him out to the park for a bit. One of the NCT dads was there with his daughter. It was really annoying because that meant I had to be social. "They're a handful at this age, aren't they?" said he, smiling. "Can we talk about something other than children?" I asked. "Is yours talking much yet?" "Chloe pretends to read. It's super sweet. She's even got a couple of her favorite books memorized." At this point, Simon rescued me from the conversation by screaming that he wanted push on the swing. I braced myself for the long haul. It was very less than 20 minutes before he'd even consider letting me stop. And even that would be a battle. Eventually, I persuaded him to get off. He rewarded my efforts by marching over to Chloe and tearing a clump of her hair out. I apologized profusely to Chloe's dad, calling him by the wrong name in the moment of tolerant-induced dementia. "Naughty Simon," I said about 11 times. But then I remembered what the textbooks say, that if you call a child naughty, they'll identify with that. So I switched to, "Simon, you're a good boy." But that was a naughty thing to do. I put him in the stroller to take him home, and he eventually fell asleep. So did I, until Simon's crying woke me up. We were super late for lunch, so no wonder he was upset. By the time I sat him down at the table, he was ravenous. He ate the whole bowl of fruit without stopping to chew, then demanded seconds and thirds. He didn't eat his thirds though, because he vomited prodigiously all over my blouse and the floor, thereby cutting short both our appetites. While I cleaned up the vomit, Simon played with blocks, the kind you can stack with the letter printed on each side. For a precious moment, he looked like a mothercare ad. I watched him play and smiled despite myself. 45 minutes later, I woke up. He was nowhere to be seen. I looked in the lounge. I looked in the bed. He wasn't ready in the fridge. Panic swelled in my chest. "Simon, honey, where are you?" I found him in the bathroom, halfway through a worn-out bar of soap, literally foaming at the mouth. "Yucky," he said, and took another bite. By that time, I was panicking. I tried to flush his stomach out with water, literally dangling him upside down. Should I call an ambulance? Should we go to the A&E? I asked him what he'd eaten, and he answered with surprising alacrity. "Upe," he said, pointing. "Some soap and 2 entire tubes of toothpaste." By the time husband came home from work, everything was back to normal. Simon was thrilled to see him, shouting "Daddy!" while stretching out his little starfish hands. Husband took over then, bathing Simon, putting him to bed, and cooking us dinner. We sat on the sofa together afterwards, watching a TV show that we'd seen a dozen times before. And I said, "Thank you."
How was it today?
He asked. Same as always. Husband went to sleep by 10 o'clock. An hour later, I was still awake. I got out of bed and made my way to the lounge to find Mickey. I pressed the little button on his hands again and again and again. "You're good at this, you're